Hello, friends, and welcome to Virtual Strangers 19. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, Alex and Ruuts to talk about the week in VR gaming news. And what a week it was, guys. It's starting to get to the point now where the news is faking me out every week. We'll go a few days, and at the beginning of the week, I think, man, what am I going to make a show out of? But by the time Saturday rolls around and we're recording, it's just jam-packed week after week after week, and I'm having to select what we're going to talk about and what we're not going to talk about. And this week was no different. I mean, I barely had to do any searching to find topics this week. It was just so much to talk about. So obviously, the story of the week, the one that everybody's going on and on about, the one that we kind of foreshadowed this past Monday, for those of you who watched our Monday topical discussion, No Man's Sky VR release date has finally been announced. We've been waiting on this one for months now, and the developers announced this past week that the No Man's Sky Beyond update will release on August 14th. And this isn't just a VR update. The VR update's just part of it. There's 3 actual parts to the No Man's Sky Beyond update. Of course, like I said just then, the VR support will be added in. They're adding in improved online interactions so that it's easier for players to meet up in VR. And I don't mean just friends, but it's going to be a more common occurrence for you to go into this universe and meet somebody randomly that you've never met before. And then obviously you'll have the option of joining and playing together or going your separate ways, just like real life. The third update is somewhat of a mystery. They have not even hinted in the least what what it's going to pertain to, but it's coming at some future date. They're going to have a third feature that's added into No Man's Sky Beyond that apparently is going to enrich the experience that much more. But what we have learned that I wasn't quite expecting, not only are we getting VR support, but it's not going to be your typical flat game VR support where you're playing with the gamepad, interacting with things by pressing a button and watching an automatic animation. But they have actually gone through the trouble of adding in full hand presence into this game. You're going to be able to drive your ship with by actually interacting with the controls that you see. You're going to be able to manipulate your inventory by grabbing your backpack and moving things around with your hands. So it seems like they've went all in on the VR for this, and it's going to play like a proper from the ground up VR game. Ruuts, were you surprised that that they went this route and they decided to go the full immersion VR route?
I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. You know, I think they've proven, the developers have proven that what they had in mind from the very beginning is what we're finally seeing, like implemented. Even the VR aspect, like people fucking freaked out when this dropped. Originally, they shit all over it. It became a meme. What are you going to do with your refund? It was just a horrendous nightmare. And then if you take to what's going to happen, what I think is going to happen in 11 days, when I'm going to freak the fuck out when I play it, people are going to realize, okay, this is what it was all about. Like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, everything, the hand presence, just everything that you just described is above and beyond what I was told was going to happen. And we don't even know what that mystery thing is. Like, who knows? I just think we're going to see what it was supposed to be, and I'm looking forward to it big time.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised when I heard that they had they'd done what we would obviously want for them to do by giving us full hand presence and interactivity. I would have been fine without it, but I was very surprised and glad to hear that they've added this stuff in. I think that these developers initially were guilty of what a lot of independent developers especially are guilty of these days, and that is being too ambitious with their vision for their game. They came right out and said it what they wanted their game to be years ago when they were developing it, and that of course caused everyone's expectations to go skyrocket. And when this game didn't launch and meet the developer's original vision, a lot of people, like you said, it became a meme. A lot of people crapped all over it. Alex, we got 11 days now. That's a lot of time for the expectations and speculations to ramp up to unmanageable height. Do you think that this game's going to live up to what everyone thinks that it's going to be?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Depends on what people think it's going to be, really. I mean, if it's No Man's Sky in VR, then I think that's what you're getting. So I don't see how people could be disappointed. I suppose it could, maybe the implementation, like it's a bit janky or something. I don't know, but I don't think people are going to be disappointed. I think it seems like the developers learned their lesson from the launch, and they really don't want to launch anything. That's probably why they've gone to this extra effort, because they didn't want it to just feel like a port. They wanted it to be like a native VR game. Yeah, it should be interesting to try it out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, and I think we should all kind of, we should mention the fact that when something like this drops, there's always small bugs and glitches, but we shouldn't freak out too much on day one, because if these particular developers have displayed anything, it's a willingness to work to make their game better. And even if it's a broken mess on day one, I'm fully confident that this game will continue to improve for the days, months, and years to come. Alex, I know that you kind of have my attitude about it. It looks really cool, but it also looks very involved. It looks like it's going to take a lot of time to really get into this game the way that it's meant to be played. Do you think that you're going to be able to hang in there long enough to get into it like that? Or do you think that maybe you might put 5, 6, 8 hours into it and say, you know what, I don't have time for this?
Yeah, I can't see me putting anywhere near the time that people put into this game. So I expect I'll try it, probably put in a couple, maybe 3 or 4 hours, and then potentially get bored. If it's, I was watching PSVR with that Pro play today, because he's been playing it flat. I'm like preparing himself for this game, because, like you say, it's a very in-depth game. There's a lot to it, and I think he wants to review it on launch for the VR department side. So he's wanting to just get in loads of experience so that he can just jump into it and then just say if the VR side of things is good or not. But it looked boring to me, if I'm honest. It was kind of like just walking around a planet, mining for copper and using that to build something, to then mine more stuff to build more stuff. It's just, I don't know, it's just not my sort of game. So I'm interested to get in it, probably fly around for a bit, look at some planets, and if it's too grindy to progress or anything, if there's no real end goal, then I just think I'll probably end up just getting bored of it and move on.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it's going to be. I think that 17-year-old me, 16-year-old me would absolutely love this, because that guy has nothing to do all day but play video games. So he can put in hours every day grinding to terraform planets and develop bases and things like that, which is, it's only one facet of this game, obviously, but it's a big part of the everyday gameplay is grinding away. So I agree. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I've never played it at all. Flat. I've got it. I'm waiting on it to get its update. I'm going to jump in and try it then. But the best games in VR, I never play, and the reason why I never play them is because I don't have time to make the progress in them. Ruuts, do you share this concern, or do you think that you're just going to be living in No Man's Sky for the next year?
I don't think I'm going to be living in any game except for Audica, probably for a long time. I think it's kind of cool because it's like you said, you're terraforming. I mean, you go back in every so often and do a little bit more work. I look at it from the aspect of, like Alex said, yeah, if I've watched some gameplay, not too much, but some gameplay, and just like any game on a flat game, it looks boring. But when you get in VR, and it's going to be how it feels to fly and how cool it is to land on the planet and roam around and search, and maybe it'll be fun terraforming or crafting stuff. I don't know. It'll be different being in there, but I'd be lying if I didn't say that there isn't like anything that's grindy can get boring, right? So I don't anticipate I'll be spending 20, 30, 40, 50 hours in this game, or any game for that matter. I'm like you, I'm getting too old, and my time is getting too valuable to be wasting in one game. I like to try everything and then move on, or if it really grips me, then finish it. So
Yeah, I agree. I think that's an important point, that as boring as it may look on a flat screen, that it could be completely different when you get in there with the headset. I think that the big draw of this game for me is the multiplayer aspect of it. It's something else that I can go in with my friends and family and do in VR. So I think that's the big selling point for me. I think that's what I'm looking forward to probably more than anything, is just having something else to do with my friends and family. Anything else you guys want to say about No Man's Sky VR? We've kind of beat this one to death over the last couple of months.
it is cross-platform then, I'm assuming?
I don't think that it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that it is cross-platform. If it is, they haven't been very vocal about it. But I haven't heard anything about cross-platform support. Have you, Alex? Have you heard anything about cross-platform?
No, they've not said anything, so I presume not.
Okay.
Maybe that's what the third thing is. Maybe that's what the other big update's going to be.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Strippers.
Who knows?
Strippers, they're going to put them in there too.
Strippers.
Yeah. Maybe not.
Then I'll never leave.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to integrate with the Star Wars people, and you'll be able to go to like Hoth.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And Tatooine, and go to the Mos Eisley Cantina. And, who knows? Could be anything. All right, moving on. This week, Blackwall VR, a developer I'd never heard of before, came out and announced that they're making a War of the Worlds VR game. It's called War of the Worlds Project Svalinn. I would imagine that's how you pronounce that, Project Svalinn. Yeah, so out of nowhere, we get this announcement of War of the Worlds Project Svalinn, and apparently it's coming by the end of the year, which seems kind of soon to me. If they're just now for the first time announcing it, apparently they have no gameplay footage. All we have is this concept art and a description. And this is what the developers, this is how they describe this game. They say that you play the role of a severely injured military commander whose consciousness is transported into advanced machinery, kind of like Doom VFR, where you're not in a physical body, but you're in kind of like this robot. But you're fighting against the invaders, and you're going to battle them across different landscapes, both urban and rural, and you're going to be using their own technology that has been back engineered by scientists against them. So apparently this is going to be a futuristic, story-driven first-person shooter based off of, a popular sci-fi story, in War of the Worlds. Kind of surprising to me that an unknown developer, which by the way, this developer apparently only VR games. They've got 3 coming out this year, according to their website, but it's all VR stuff. And apparently, just as Stone Punk Studios somehow has ended up with the rights to Tarzan, these guys now have the rights to the War of the Worlds. And it's a cool concept. I gotta admit, my curiosity is piqued. Alex, what did you think about this announcement and this little bit of info they've given us here?
I'm going to come across a bit negative this week, I think, but I'll believe it when I see it. Basically, there's no real. I looked into the company. They're based in London. So I was at first thought was like it was going to be some sort of Chinese company or Korean company or something, but it's not. It's based in London, so they're in the UK. But I can't find any information about anything they've actually made and released. Like you said, all they've got in the website is these 3 VR games which aren't out yet. They're all coming this year. They're claiming that they're going to have a demo of this, which you can sign up on their website, and in summer they're going to actually release a demo, a playable demo. So I've signed up and we'll see if it comes out. But I don't expect it to come out this year, if I'm honest with you. I think it's like you said with the No Man's Sky thing, like sometimes these indie devs, they get a bit excited and then they think they're going to make something amazing overnight, and then when they actually get to it and they realize how hard it is. So I think that I don't know, because they actually said they put this post on Reddit basically about this game, and they said on the post that this was going to be one of the first genuine AAA VR games, and it's kind of like just marketing speak for like, it's just marketing blurb, and no screenshots, no footage. They actually did have a trailer which showed nothing, which they've taken down. But somehow it's coming. They said winter 2019, which is 22nd of December this year. So it's a pretty tight launch window between 22nd and 31st of December. So, but yeah, we'll see. I've applied for the demo. If the demo does actually materialize, then we'll play it and we can give our impressions. But until then, I'll remain skeptical.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a recurring theme throughout today's episode, honestly, are these ambitious developers and their promises. What they're saying here is great. They're promising this great action-packed science fiction FPS that's going to have diverse environments that you're playing through. It's going to be multi-platform according to these people. It's going to be on Quest. It's going to be on PC VR. Sounds great, but if we're that close to launch, you think there would be some footage. So yeah. We'll see. The most curious thing about the whole thing to me is that it's actually the War of the Worlds. So obviously they had to acquire some permissions.
We're assuming they are. Yeah, I mean they've kind of they've said that it's War of the Worlds inspired, which kind of makes me think maybe they are just using it and not realizing that they can't use it. But I'm sure they've got to have the license for it, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be trademarked. So
yeah, well they put it in the title even so.
Yeah.
Unless they want to scale it back and just call it Project Svalinn, I guess if they did that, it would be effective. They could use War of the Worlds until the court tells them to stop using it.
Yeah, that's a good point. It could be a good way to market it. People think, because if they just put Project Svalinn, then no one would give a shit really. But now it's got War of the Worlds. We're taking it a bit more seriously because we're thinking it's a kind of officially licensed game, but it might not be. It could be, like you say, they're using the name, and then when they tell them not to use the name, they'll turn it into Project Svalinn and hope that they can get enough people to remember that it was War of the Worlds.
Well, I'll say this: it's a cool picture.
Yeah,
it's a really cool picture. They have a nice website too. Their website looks really cool. They had a good logo on their other VR game that's supposed to be out later this year. What was it called?
Bungie, new NYC Bungie or something.
No, not that one. The other one. It was some kind of like biohazard type.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't remember. Ruuts, what do you make of this? You think that this is that we're going to see this year?
No, if we do, it's going to be shit. I don't know. My thing is like you guys were saying, that all of a sudden we hear about it now. It's going to be AAA and it's August, and they've got 4 months to. Just marketing wise, it doesn't make sense. So either there's so many things going through my mind. It could be a complete fucking copycat bullshit thing. Like you said, somebody trying to capitalize on the name, and hopefully they are a good company. But why would they not even have a trailer or some footage or something more than this picture? It just seems weird to me. Everything about it seems weird. I'm hoping it would be cool, but I'm not going to hold my breath on this one.
Right. Seems similar to me than when Seeking Dawn was announced. I don't know if you remember that, but these developers that nobody had ever heard of came out of nowhere and made all these gigantic claims of how this was going to be the first real true AAA VR game, and that, you know, they made all sorts of promises that the initial product really didn't live up to. They've done a lot better of you know, updating their game and bringing it a lot closer to that original vision. But hopefully this is one of those situations like Seeking Dawn, where they do have a real team behind it, and they just aren't ready to show any of their footage yet. So.
Yep.
Only time will tell. That said, this brings us to another one of these games of this type, Journey for Elysium. This is a game that was announced a little while back. They tried to run a Kickstarter for this game back in spring, and it failed to meet its relatively small goal. But apparently they've been working on it regardless, despite not meeting their monetary goals. They're still working on this game. And they put out what I think is a pretty decent looking trailer this week. This is a story-driven puzzle game that's based upon Greek mythology. You play the role of a fallen hero who is trying to make their way through the underworld to Elysium, or paradise. I claim that this game is inspired by the great adventure games of the 1990s, which is really something that probably sounds really good to most of the VR community, because we all kind of grew up in that era there. But this game has a monochrome art style, as you can tell. It honestly puts me in the mind of Here They Lie when I look at some of these visuals. It puts me in the mind of some of the later stages of Here They Lie. Those of you that finished that game know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's not a lot of footage, but it's more than we got with War of the Worlds, obviously. But yeah, apparently this is a real game. It's something that's coming. Also slated for Q4 this year. Ruuts, what do you think about this one? Does this looks like something you want to play?
Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. I'm hoping that it's like really impressive, like when you're on the boat and those doors are opening, and just the scale as you're looking around and you're seeing these huge doors open. The water looks really cool. You know, bow and arrow. I mean, it looks like, I mean, it's a puzzle game, but it looks like it's got action as well. So, you know, that's the thing. Like, I'm getting burnt out with puzzle games, but I wouldn't mind continuing to play them if they give me some other things to do, like some action or other things beside just go into a room and figure out this puzzle and then go into the next room and figure out that puzzle. That's just getting mundane for me anyway. But yeah, this looks really cool.
Yeah, puzzle games, it's getting to the point now where we need some kind of an original concept from it. Games like Shadow Point and Static are awesome because they're kind of different. They do their own thing. Hopefully that's the kind of puzzles that we get here, and hopefully it's heavily steeped in story. Hopefully the story is, and the environments are the draw of this game, much like Here They Lie. It was a walking simulator with some very light puzzle stuff in it, but it was mostly just walking. But it's still one of my favorite games just because of the story it told and the environments that it was set in. Alex, what did you think about this one?
It looks all right. It looks very indie, but you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So just I want to keep an eye on, I think. That's it. That's all I got to say. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't really got anything more to add.
All right, cool. We'll just move right along then to another game that was announced a while back, Nostos. This is an online role-playing game. For some reason, the developer, NetEase, Chinese developer NetEase, they're reluctant to call this game an MMO, but it pretty much looks like an MMO. It looks like it has this cartoony Japanime style graphics going on here. And it was announced at China Joy 2019, which happened this past week. It's a video game conference in China. It was announced that this game is coming to Viveport in Q4. So we knew this game was coming already. It has a Steam page no word on if this is going to launch on Steam this year. They said it's coming to Viveport this year, which is kind of curious to me. So we know that Steam support's coming. We know we're gonna get it on Viveport this year. Ruuts, I know this is your kind of game. If it's done right, you like these sorts of games. Is this enough to get you to try out Viveport again? Give Viveport a second shot.
I don't know, man. Viveport just always runs weird for me, and I'd probably at least check it out. It looks really cool. The water looks really good. I mean, I'm a big World of Warcraft fan, and that was not. I mean, it's not the most visually amazing game, but the gameplay and what you could do was just so revolutionary. So hopefully the gameplay in this will also match, the visuals. But like you said, I don't know if they're just trying to be cautious to not get people's expectations up, which is smart, or if it's just not going to be like a traditional MMO, and that's why they're not calling it an MMO. So that makes me kind of curious as well.
Yeah. I think the big draw here for me, like you said, this game looks good visually. I mean, it's very cartoony, and there are a lot of these games, especially from Asian developers, that have this cartoony style, but this one looks especially good to me. And even though this isn't my favorite genre of game, I am subscribed to Viveport, so I'm not sure if this is coming to Viveport Infinity or if they're just going to release it for sale this December in Viveport, but I'm definitely interested in checking it out. And just for the record, Ruuts, you're a brand new Rift S owner. 2 months free Viveport right now if you just want to go on there and sign up to get it. So something to think about for you there.
They won't make it till December, though. If I sign up now, I'm screwed. Does that last forever, or is that like is it only?
I can check on it. I'm not sure when the offer ends. I'm sure that it'll say so on their website. But you never know. These subscriptions end up lasting longer than you think. You know, I bought mine for something like $20 last November for a year of it, like $20. And since then, they've given me like $30 in store credit. Actually, more than that. Now that I think about it, I've got $20 more on it that they just gave me. So like $50 in store credit. They've given me 3 or 4 games. They've given me like AAA top titles, and then like I bought another handful of games for $1 a piece, like Super Hot, Arizona Sunshine, Accounting Plus. I bought all these for $1. And plus I got the 2 months that I just told you about when I got my Rift S. So it ended up, instead of being a year, it's going to be like 14 months.
Wow.
And they're pretty much giving me, stuff to use Viveport. And I don't use it a lot, but I'm glad to have it. Sometimes I go in there. Actually, it's pretty rarely that I go in there and there's something I want to play, but there's a lot on there for those of you who don't have the largest library on Steam. Alex, what do you think about Nostos? Was this something you were interested in before? And if not, is it something that you're interested in now?
I told you I'm going to be negative this week. But, this is really not my sort of thing, but I would like to go into it just to see the world, really, because if it looks as good as it does on these trailers, then I think it could be really cool to be in that world. There's a scene with a tornado which would scare the shit out of me. We'll talk about tornadoes later on, but I'd be interested. I mean, with the Viveport thing, I think the Asian market, I think they do quite well in the Asian market. I think a lot of like China and that side of things, they use Viveport. So I think they're trying to get into the Western market, and it just shows to me how difficult it is to get people to get away from their preferred launcher, like Steam. Trying to drag people away from Steam, you've literally got to throw so much money at them. And that's why obviously Epic are buying all these exclusives, because no one would just go over there just for a little, people don't want to move to these different launchers, and it's really tough because they are literally, it is a good deal really when you look at the what you get if you were a new user. and you get the Infinity, you've got access to all these games for that price. And yeah, I think it's a good deal. It's just people have maybe the off that initial launch when it was pretty shit and buggy, it's put everyone off. But it's tough. It's tough trying to get people to switch to a different launcher. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that more than anything, it shows the power of a bad first impression, especially in the VR community. Once you've got the VR enthusiasts turned on you, it's hard to win them back. And I think that's the story here with Viport, that it kind of was really buggy when it came out. It was kind of a resource hog when it came out. And it's really not that bad anymore. As long as you set the settings up properly so that it doesn't constantly run in the background, it really, you can't even tell any impact from it on your system at all. So yeah, and as far as this game specifically goes, I agree totally. The whole draw of this game for me is the environments in the world. I would like to see that, and hopefully it'll be on Viport Infinity, so that I won't have to buy it. But even if I do have to buy it, I mean, like I said, they just gave me $20. It'll probably still be there when this game releases. So maybe we'll buy it with the store credit that they already gave me. Anyway, moving on. Some more news out of China Joy Conference this year, and actually, I guess the more appropriate term would be non-news out of China Joy this year. Pervader VR. 2 years ago, at China Joy 2017, Sony announced the China Hero Project, which is a project that you've heard us speak about on this program a few times already, that Sony has used to subsidize these smaller Asian developers. And we've had some games come out of it. We had Animal Force come out of it. The Walker came out of it. More notably, Kill X, which went on to become Immortal Legacy, the Jade Cipher, which is a great game that I'm enjoying even still. Every time I go into that game, it gets better. But in 2017, when they announced all these games, Kill X, as good as it looked, it wasn't the best looking game that they announced. The best looking game that they announced was Pervader VR. This game looked outstanding, as you can tell from the trailer that you're looking at right now. Very, very high level graphics. It looks like a AAA game. And like I said, as much as we were looking forward to Kill X, this was kind of the star of the show. And most of the games that they announced back then have been released now. We were all kind of looking forward to China Joy this year to get an update on Pervader, because we didn't know, is this game still coming? It's the only one really that we haven't heard much about this year. We were all just kind of curious whether it was still coming or not. And surprisingly, Pervader didn't show up to China Joy this year, but Sony did make a statement on their behalf that the game is still coming. They're hard at work in development of this game, so hard at work that they couldn't find the time to come to China Joy 2019. This is what Sony said. They're so hard at work developing this game that they couldn't come to China Joy 2019, but the game is still coming, which is kind of a relief. But if you go to the website for this game, you'll notice that the logo has changed. It is no longer Pervader VR. Now it's just Pervader. It doesn't say VR anymore, which is scary. Does that mean that it's a flat game with VR support, or does it mean that it's not VR game at all anymore? It could just be a flat game. And this goes back to what we were talking about a moment ago, that perhaps these developers had an ambitious vision of what they wanted their game to be, but they've had to dial it in as the time has gone on, and they've failed to achieve their vision. Roots, this is a PSVR title. Were you aware of it before? And if so, are you disappointed or scared at all that they seem to have changed the title from Pervader VR to just Pervader.
It's curious. I don't know. Well, maybe they just didn't want people to assume it was only a VR game. I mean, I don't know. What makes me more curious is could they not make it? Like they're behind the they're not allowed to go to China. You know, it's not that they're working so hard. They're just like you're not allowed to go to this thing. You're fucking getting this game done. It's kind of weird. The whole thing is weird. I mean, what developer doesn't want to go showcase their game, especially you know, when it's gonna release soon, or at least fairly soon. I don't buy the whole they're too busy to go to the. Somebody could go and, I mean, some fucking douchebag that's in the office could go and talk about the game. They don't have, I don't, it's just weird. Does that not sound weird to you?
Yeah, it sounds very weird to me. What it sounds like to me is that this developer, again, this is, let's see what the developer's name was, Beijing Light and Development Company. Sounds like a very Chinese company, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Beijing Light and Development Company. But I think what this looks like to me, it looks like these guys have nothing more to show from last year. But Sony, you know, they've taken that Sony money. So Sony's there and they're like, you know what? You bet your ass you're going to get this game. It's coming. We paid for it. You know what I mean? So I think that that's what's happening here. I think it's a little bit of a disconnect between Sony and the developer. I think they're having trouble meeting their initial vision for the game. That's probably why the VR has gone away from the title. But again, all this is speculation. It's just a bit odd to me that this is their, you know, this is their forum. This is where they were first became known to the world, and this is where people come to look for updates from them, and it's very odd that they no-showed this year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens if this game, is Sony cracking the whip going to bring this game into existence for us, or is it going to go the way of Gollum? Oh shit, I said it. I promised I'd never mention that game again on this program. But this is, I've done it now, so what the hell. Is this game going to go the way of Gollum and just be perpetually in development forever and ever until we get PSVR 2? Only time will tell. Alex, I assume that you don't really have much to say on this one, not being a PSVR gamer. Am I correct?
You assume right, yeah.
Okay, all right. We'll move on then to everybody's favorite online store, the Epic Game Store. My friend and yours, friend of the VR community. You know how you can tell a true friend is when they're giving you gifts all the time just to show you, hey, we like you. And that's what Epic Game Store does for us. And next week, we're going to get another gift from them. As you can see on the screen right now, GNOG, the colorful, creative VR, or I guess it's not just a VR puzzler. It's a puzzle game that you can play in VR, and highly recommend that you do play in VR because the 3D aspect in this game is absolutely stunning. It's one of the better examples of 3D depth that I've experienced in VR. But yeah, as I was saying, Epic Games, they give us a free game every week. They've already given us Subnautica that we can play in VR. And next week, another free game, a good one, another good one, GNOG. Alex, I know we've talked about this game before on our channel, and I know that you like it. Are you surprised that Epic continues to give us these awesome games to play in VR?
I'm not. I don't know. I mean, it's like we've already just talked about with Viveport. They have to do this to get the people to sign up for their account, and what better way to do that to give them free games? So obviously they're doing the whole exclusivity thing, buying exclusives for the store. They're giving free games. They're giving a lot of incentive for people to then go onto the Epic Store. And once you're on the Epic Store, then obviously you're more likely to spend money on actual games. So Yeah, it's good that they're doing it. I mean, they've got a shit ton of money, so they're just throwing it at this thing, paying for these games to be free. I mean, I know you got Limbo on there. I think it was it last week or a week before, which is
As a week before. Yeah.
it's not a VR game, but it's a great puzzle. It's like 2D side scroll puzzle game. I love Limbo. So that's another good game that people are getting, and I'm sure we'll see more good games that are free VR support as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think that they're making a concerted effort here to include VR players. A lot of the games, not just the free ones, but some of the games like Trover and Tetris Effect that they've launched through their store, that they've made it a point to not just launch the flat versions of those games, but also support VR. And they've been out now for it's only been a few months that the Epic Store's been around, and they've already given us two highly rated VR games. And in the last year, from PlayStation Plus, which is a paid service, we've gotten two VR games, PSVR games over the last year. So I think that the Epic's extending an olive branch to everyone, and they want to make sure that they're including the VR community. What do you think, Roots? Do you think that that's the purpose here, that they're intentionally releasing games like this to try to bring in the VR players?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like this game is so amazing in VR, and they've given us so many. I mean, if you haven't gotten an Epic account yet, like I don't know why you wouldn't now. If you don't have GNOG, just get it, open an account. It doesn't cost money, takes 2 seconds. You get free games every week, like Wes said. Even if it's not, if you like flat games, I just downloaded 2 because I thought this was out today, and I thought, oh shit, I'm gonna grab it, and it's not out yet. But whatever else was out there for free, I went ahead and added it to my library. And like, why not? I just think that it's just short-sighted. I get in the beginning why everybody is freaking out, but now they're giving us free games and they're having exclusives like Tetris Effect that you can't get on PC. I guarantee it won't be the last one. We might see RE7, not predicting, but I have a feeling somewhere down the line it's going to come to Epic. They're throwing Fortnite money at everything, so why not? So I just believe that there's just no reason not to have an Epic account at this point, for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love what Epic's doing here. And actually, the first thing I did when I woke up this morning, it dawned on me that I think Here They Lie is a Unreal Engine 4 game. It was developed in UE4. So the first thing I did this morning is I got up and I confirmed that through Google. And as soon as I did, I took to Twitter and tweeted at the creator of Here They Lie, hoping that maybe we can see that game on PC one day, because it's stunning visually on PlayStation 4. I could only imagine how awesome that game would be on PC. I'd love to see it, and I just kind of floated the idea out there. Hopefully the seed will get planted and maybe one day we'll see it. But yeah, I don't see where all this hate for the Epic Store is coming from. We've kind of discussed it before on our exclusives episode 2 weeks ago. But a lot of the arguments that I'm seeing don't really make sense. I've had people tell me that they don't like Epic because Epic's trying to create a monopoly with the exclusives, which doesn't make sense because Steam is a monopoly in many ways when it comes to PC gaming. And plus, like we've said 3 times already, they're giving you free games every week. Good games. When's the last time Steam gave you anything? Steam never gives away games. Well, rarely. I won't say never, but they rarely give away games. Generally, when they do, it's at the behest of the developer, wanting to give away their game. But yeah, free stuff. Awesome games. Even the flat games are good. I always go on there every week to claim my game, whether or not I'll ever play it or not. Still nice to build the library. And like Root says, it takes 5 minutes to get on there, give them your email address, verify it, and you're done. And then you can have a great game like GNOG, absolutely free of charge. Anyway, moving on. That's not the only news we got about free games this week. I just mentioned a moment ago that we've gotten 2 PSVR games in the last year from Sony on the PS Plus service. And really, I mean 1, because the second one's coming next week, and that is Wipeout Omega Collection. We recently reviewed this game on this channel. In case you missed that, I think it was the week before last, Ruuts and I talked about this. And yeah, it's been since last October since PlayStation Plus has given us a game that supports PlayStation VR. Here They Lie actually being the last one that they gave us, unless my memory's, unless I'm forgetting something, which I don't think so. I think it's 2. And if they're going to come back off of a 10-month drought like that and give us a PlayStation VR game, man, did they pick a great one. This game, as Ruuts and I told you before, this is a must-own PSVR game. Probably one of the top 5 best PSVR games, and it's really, really awesome that that Sony's giving this one away this week, or this month, I should say. It starts next week on August 7th, and will run through Tuesday, September 3rd. So there's a few things you want to take from this. One, you've got a few days left to claim the July games on PlayStation Plus. And while there isn't, while there aren't any VR games on there, they are giving away Detroit Become Human, which is a brand new, pretty much AAA game. I was surprised that they added that in. It's the deluxe edition, which also includes, I think, Heavy Rain, that's included in the bundle with it. So yeah, you should definitely get on there this week. Those of you who haven't claimed your PS Plus games, and claim that. And then next week, we're getting the Wipeout Omega Collection. And not only that, but we're also getting Sniper Elite 4, which is interesting because the upcoming Sniper Elite VR was described by the developer as being like Sniper Elite 4, but in VR. And I've never played Sniper Elite. I have no idea what those games are even like. But I am curious, just because we are getting this VR game. And now I'm going to get to find out, because I'm going to get the game for free. Ruuts, one, were you surprised that they're giving away a game as awesome as Wipeout? And 2, were you looking forward to taking a look at Sniper Elite 4 just to get a sneak peek at what kind of game Sniper Elite VR is going to be?
Yeah, I didn't even know that Sniper Elite 4 was coming out before this week's show notes and stuff. I'm kind of psyched to see what that's about. And then obviously I already own Wipeout on the disc, but I think that's a really good game for anybody to pick up. I know I saw some people in Discord that were saying, I don't think they should give that away. And I mean, it's been out for a long time. I get that thought because I bought it, I paid for it, and now everyone's going to get it for free. But it's so good. And I don't know, maybe this will be the first step to coming to the Epic Store.
Maybe.
I just look at everything differently now. After what happened with Tetris Effect, I just feel like everything opened up, and possibilities that we thought a year ago were not even there, not even close to being there, are now open. And so I think the fact that they're now giving it away for free could indicate that they're ready to bring it to PC. But I don't know. That's a lot of speculation, and I like to speculate, so I'll leave it there. But
yeah, I own it too, and it's really cool for me anyway, though, because I have, as you know, I have 2 PlayStations, 2 PlayStation VRs, and we like to play multiplayer. But I only own 1 copy of this game, a digital copy, and you can play multiplayer with just 1 copy, but you have to be kind of slick about how you do it, which console that you have set as your primary console, and which account do you log into with the other console. But now, since I have, since they're giving this away, I'm going to be able to own 2 copies of it. And I won't even have to worry about that crap anymore now. Anybody in my house that wants to log in to their own account on either of my consoles and play together can do so. So even though I've already bought it, I'm looking forward to getting another copy. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure, but your daughter may even have PlayStation Plus. Is that right, Ruuts?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess she could pick that up. We could get 2 copies as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys can play online together, even though she doesn't have like the PSVR. It's a flat game, so she can play on her screen while you're playing in VR, and yeah, you guys can play together.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Free of charge.
Yeah, it's
when I say free of charge, I mean, of course, included with your subscription fee.
yeah.
Alex, I know that the train of PSVR news continues on. Do you have anything you want to add to this discussion here?
No, nothing. No.
I didn't think so. It's almost over, buddy. I promise. All right. The last bit of news here is also PSVR news, but I think this is something that Alex can comment on. Contagion VR Outbreak. It's a game that entered early access on PC a long time ago, and it gained a lot of initial hype because it had such a strong free demo, and when they released in the early access, it was just one mission that was an extension of that demo, but most everything in that one mission was very well done. I mean, there was some jank to it, and we can maybe talk about that later in a review. But for the most part, that first mission was impressive. In the areas that Arizona Sunshine lacked, Contagion VR Outbreak excelled. And a lot of people were looking forward to this game getting full release, getting more missions. But as time went on, the progress was very slow on this game. And the whole time they maintained that it would be coming to PSVR soon, right? And I think that this is yet another example of a developer who had an ambitious view of their game that wasn't able to live up to it. Anyway, in August of last year, Monochrome, the developer of this game, released this roadmap of the future progress of their game. Mission 2 will be released this month. Mission 3 will be released this month. But notably, they said that they planned on releasing the PlayStation VR version of this in November, just a few months later. And that surprised me because I do own the early access version of this game, and they still had a lot of work. At that point, it was still just a partial game with some jank and on PC. And I know the Sony QA, process, and I know that they wouldn't let something like this through their QA process. So when they released that, that's when I first began to question, are we ever going to see this on PSVR, or are we ever going to see full release of this game, period? And then it wasn't long after that that the lead developer of this game, Victor Burgos, resigned. And in my mind, at that point, this was the death knell for Contagion Outbreak VR. But to my surprise, since then, these guys have gotten their ass in gear. They've added a second mission. They've added a third mission. They're working every day on a fourth mission. And by the way, if you guys are interested in seeing how this is coming along, the developer of that that works on that fourth mission every day streams it on Twitch, so you can actually see him working on the unreleased Mission 4 live almost every day. But that said, these guys have made a complete 180 turnaround since Victor Burgos has left their development team. And this past week, via Twitter, they announced that they have, quote, one more thing to take care of, and then they will be submitting the PSVR version of their game to Sony to go through the QA process, which is great. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I have not played it since the initial mission came out, but I did enjoy that. Alex, have you did you try that initial mission? And if so, have you been back in to try any of the subsequent missions that they have released for this game?
No, I played the demo, and I really enjoyed the demo. But then I remember when it came out in early access, apparently there wasn't much more than the demo, when it had some serious
Shit.
game-breaking bugs. Yeah, and people basically shit all over it. Got really bad reviews. Yeah, and then it's a bit of a weird one, because then obviously this Victor Burgos guy, he was very vocal and in the community, he was like the lead guy, was always talking about the game. And he put like a developer roadmap up where it was so ambitious, so ridiculously. Even everyone in Reddit was saying that you're not going to be able to achieve what you're saying you're going to achieve. Like month 1, mission 2, month 3, mission 3, month 4, mission 4, month 5, PSVR release. It was like okay, yeah, and so they were saying that in December 2018 they were going to get a PSVR release, which is obviously completely ridiculous. It was never going to happen, and everyone knew it. And sure enough, obviously, it's still not happened, and we're now in August 2019. So, what I don't like about this is that this game's still in early access. They're looking to launch it on PSVR. They've actually said outright that they're going to release the game on PSVR with 3 missions, and then patch in the 4th mission at a later date, which is kind of, it's not a full game. Then you're still releasing it in early access on PSVR, which I don't really like that. I'd rather them just focus on the PC, get the 4th mission done, get all the bugs ironed out, get the game a complete game, and then get it on PSVR as a complete game, rather than them kind of trying to divert their attention to PSVR because they want to launch it on there, not finishing the game and getting it out of early access on PC. Then they're going to launch it on PSVR. And then obviously once that's done on PSVR, they're then going to go back, finish mission 4, release that on both PC and PSVR, and take it out of early access. It's kind of a bit rushed to me, and it just sounds like they just really desperately need to make some money on this game, and they're relying on getting it out on PSVR. But the problem is, obviously, if they rush it, just like they did before, it'll end up being problematic, and they'll get a lot of backlash from the community. So they need to be careful with this, I think. My personal thoughts would be to just crack on, get the mission 4 done, and then get it on PSVR. But it sounds like they're not going to do that. So
yeah, well, it depends. In my opinion, it depends on how these missions are structured. If this is a continuous story that goes from mission to mission, obviously they're not going to want to publish it without the end of the story. That wouldn't make very much sense. But if it's 4 standalone missions that are disjointed and don't have a continuous story, then I mean, it's kind of I don't really have a problem with them releasing.
as far as I'm aware, it is a continuous story. So
yeah.
That's what I understand. I haven't played it because I'm waiting. As you know, I like to wait for these sort of games to come out of early access. So I'm waiting, but it's just I don't know. It's just this developer, the decisions that they're making and things. It just seems a bit messy to me. But
yeah, well, it does seem so, and I think I know why. If you're a VR game developer and you're banking your whole career on making a VR zombie apocalypse game, what kind of news has come out recently that might put the pressure on you to get your game out as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
Walking Dead VR is coming. Not only one of them, but 2. We've got 2 Walking Dead VR games coming. We've got more DLC coming from Arizona Sunshine. We've got the Arizona Sunshine developers releasing that. What was the name of their new game they're coming out with again? After the Fall, is that what it was?
yeah,
That's kind of a zombie game too. So yeah, these guys have they wasted all that time under Victor and didn't make much progress, and now they're up against it, man. They need to get this thing out. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, it's unfortunate because this game does have a lot of potential. Roots, what say you? Do you think that maybe they're rushing this into PSVR a little too quickly, or do you think that they need to get this thing out before Walking Dead hits the show?
Both. I think Alex's point was just spot on. It's exactly what I was thinking, but what you're saying is probably also the case. Like they're rushed because you have 2 Walking Deads, and if even one of them does okay, then this game becomes something I wouldn't buy. Like I played it on day 1 and it was shit. I played the demo, and the game after that was just nothing like the demo. The demo was better than the game, but they've done a lot of work since then. And I've been like Alex, I'm afraid to go back in because it was so bad in the beginning. I just want to go in and play it one more time, full the way through, and I don't want to wait for things to be developed because they're wasting time in PlayStation VR. I just think you'd finish it on one platform and then move it over or work simultaneous. But apparently, like you said, their back is against the wall, and they're having to make choices that they haven't cleared with Ruuts. But I'll be okay. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: that I didn't play this game when it first hit early access. It had been out a while when I bought it, and it was good on the first playthrough. When I played through that first mission, the tutorial was really janky. But after you got into the mission, for the most part, it was very polished. Every now and then you'd come across a little bit of jank that really didn't impact the game at all. For example, when you're going down the hallway, there's an arcade cabinet that you can play if you hit start, but you really can't play it because it's so jankified. The picture floats above the screen instead of looking like it's in the screen, and it has no place in what's otherwise is a pretty polished experience. But just stuff like that, there's a little bit of jank to it, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. So they must have really worked on it a lot since you tried it. I have not tried the subsequent missions. I would like to apologize to Monochrome because I did sign up to be like a beta tester for this game right before we started doing this show. So literally, I joined their little beta testing program, got beta access so that I could play this stuff early and help develop it. And then we started doing this, and I haven't had time to play it one time since then. So if Monochrome ever sees this, I'm sorry. Had I known what was coming for me in the future, I wouldn't have ever signed up for your little program there. But yeah. And in a related bit of news, I did mention, I don't know, maybe a month ago, that I was worried about the future of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners VR, which is a game coming from Skydance Interactive that's been in development for years now. But since the Walking Dead television VR game got announced and the Walking Dead comic book series has ended, I mentioned that I was a little bit worried about maybe whether or not we were going to get that game, and that maybe I should reach out to the developer and ask them if it's still coming. Well, I did just that via their Discord and via Twitter, but they got back to me on Discord, told me everything's great with their game. It's coming. They can't give a whole lot of detail out about it just yet, but as far as they're concerned, everything's great with their game. And they kind of alluded and hinted that there was some kind of a change with it this past week, but they wouldn't tell us exactly what it was. But for those of you that are interested in that game, it is still in development. It is still on the way, and apparently the developers are in very good spirits. So moving on. What do we have next? A bit more PSVR news, and I'm not going to start a big conversation on this. I just wanted to report it. We've already said pretty much everything that needs to be said on this topic. But Firewall 0 Hour, we announced a while back that they were going into seasonal paid content. The last season, Operation Nightfall, brought with it a new map, 2 new characters, new skills, weapons, cosmetic items, so on and so forth, all behind the paywall. But some of that stuff, or actually all of it, trickling through the paywall to the free side over time. We then went on to find out that Operation Nightfall also brought with it a bunch of game-breaking bugs and other issues that really put off a lot of people that swore off that game. They're never going to play Firewall again. But surely, as soon as they fixed it, all those people jumped right back in, and they all lived happily ever after. Anyway, this past week, Firewall 0 Hour announced Season 2, Operation Dark Web. It announced that it's going to launch on August 13th, relatively soon, but that's all they gave us. They didn't tell us anything about whether or not there's going to be a new map, new characters, new weapons. We would assume so, based on last season, but we don't know yet. I was kind of excited when I heard about Operation Nightfall because it's more content to what I already felt was a very good game. But after they experienced all those bugs and stuff, I didn't end up going in and playing it. Did you, Roots? Did you try out Firewall Operation Nightfall?
No, there was so much negative comments. I figured I would focus on something else. I would be curious to try it again. I mean, I own the game. I might as well check it out and see what the new stuff is about.
Right, and after the dark web launches, you would assume that all the Nightfall stuff would be unlocked for the free users. And let me be clear, by free users, I mean the users that paid $30 for Firewall. But I'm not going to get off on that rant again. I've already made my feelings on this known. I just wanted to mention that those of you out there who are fans of Firewall 0 Hour, we've got another season launching in a little over a week's time. So watch closely. If the thing launches without any bugs, maybe we'll get in and give it a shot. So moving on to a topic that I'm very much interested in, and I was very much surprised to see this story this week. Red Matter, a game that we reviewed on this channel within the past month, a game that we all really enjoy, is getting an Oculus Quest release. Not only is it getting an Oculus Quest release, but it's getting an Oculus Quest release on August 15th, just a couple of weeks away, less than 2 weeks. What was so interesting about this isn't so much that Red Matter is coming to Quest. Obviously, that's a little bit of a surprise because that game is so graphically stunning. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. So that's a little bit surprising. But what is even more so surprising that they're bringing this to Quest at all is that according to this developer, this game on Quest is going to have, quote, improved graphics. Alex, what do you make of this? I mean, I know that the Vader Immortal had some very impressive graphics for Oculus Quest, but these guys are claiming that they're using new techniques to make this game look even better on Quest. What do you think about that?
I think you may be reading into that wrongly. I think what they're trying to say is that they've reworked their engine so it looks better than what it originally was going to look on the Quest. So if you look at the like before and afters, they're kind of showing what it was going to look like, and then they're showing what they've done to the engine to make it look even better. So they've basically remodified the Unreal Engine to make use of some features that will work on the mobile platforms, which probably wouldn't normally work and run. So they've got like reflections and ray trace lighting and stuff. It looks really, really impressive actually. So I think this is going to be a great game for the Quest, and I think hopefully it'll sell really well, because I loved this game, absolutely loved it, and I just hope that it's done enough for the developers to keep working in VR, because they are some of the top end developers. They've made some really good AAA flat games. This is one of the best looking games in VR. Plus, it's even just the gameplay, the puzzles and everything is so well done. I want them to do well so that they can make more games that I can play. So
Yeah, you're right. I misread what they meant by that, because I thought that the befores and afters were like the before version was the PC version and the after was the Quest version. I was absolutely shocked. I didn't believe it. I was like, man, there's no way. But yeah, the lighting is what really sticks out to me the most. The lighting looks absolutely incredible in it. This is a great type of game to come to Quest, not only because it's so beautiful that it's a good demo for new players, but you know, a lot of the scenes in this are stationary. There's not a lot of animations that they have to do, which kind of allows it to look better than it probably would otherwise on Quest. Roots, we haven't got any word on if this is going to be cross-buy or not. If this is not cross-buy, do you think it's worth shelling out another 20, $30 to pick it up for Quest?
Another 20 to 30 bucks? No. If somebody doesn't own the game and wants to buy it on Quest, absolutely. I'm like Alex. This game was one of my favorite games. Even just the way you moved, the intuitive controllers, the way it made you feel like your hands were actually in the game, gave you more presence than a lot of games. I loved the teleport in this. I preferred it to walking. Like, it made me feel like I was in the suit. So yeah, I just think I'm kind of psyched because, like, what does this mean for every Quest game? This new lighting, and you know, like you guys were saying, I mean, maybe because it's not moving, it won't be as they won't be able to do it as much in some games because they maybe move around a little bit more. But I just think overall the implications for VR in general. So I don't know if this would translate to maybe being able to make even existing graphics on PC look even better. I don't know. I just think it's exciting.
It's the mobile shaders. So they've modified the mobile shaders that are built into the Unreal Engine. So it's completely separate
Right.
to PC. I mean,
What I'm saying is, well, maybe can't they do the same thing with on the PC and tweak theirs as well? I don't know enough about it if they're just changing the mobile to make it look more like PC and there's nothing more PC could be tweaked. But I just think the fact that they're looking outside the box and they're really tweaking things and making things better, that maybe they could relook at the PC versions and maybe they make them even look better. Not necessarily with the same version, but
I think that it just shows what a really talented developer can do when they optimize the hell out of a game for a particular platform.
yeah.
And this is what we see with PSVR, obviously, because when you look at the actual hardware, it's very limited, but they can still pull out some pretty amazing looking games. And that's just what I've had a conversation with Mamefan on the Discord about this, that I'm positive that we're going to see PS5, PSVR 2 games look as good as PC games now, whereas Justin's not quite as convinced. But you can't just look at the specs of the hardware. You've got to look at what the developers can do when they've got just one set of hardware, and they can really, because PC games are very unoptimized generally. Developers, because they've got so many different what's the right
Headsets,
word?
Yeah.
Combinations of hardware, obviously CPUs, memory that people are running, they can't really optimize the game so much that it's going to run perfectly on every single different variable PC. So they tend to not put the time in. We've seen it before with the difference between a PC game and a PC. Like this game on PC PSVR looks nearly as good as the PC version, but yet if you actually look at the specs, it's nowhere near as powerful as a PC. So they can do it because they can optimize for it. And that's why I'm convinced that we're going to see some absolutely incredible games on PSVR 2 that you would never even think possible on that hardware. So
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important point. Is optimization is a very powerful tool in the hands of a talented developer like Vertical Robot. And as to what you were saying, if we had a PC that was running on the same specs as an OG PS4, I'm not sure that it would run Red Matter. You know what I'm saying? So optimization is a really important thing. it's very evident from PSVR games, but when it really became evident and obvious to me is when the Quest came out. People forget that this thing is just running on a cell phone processor, man, and the things that they're able to do with it, even already this early into the life cycle, is just amazing. And back to what I was asking you, Roots, I am considering buying this, even if it's not cross-buy. I am considering buying this not only because it's such a great game, but I'm curious as to what this actually looks like on Quest. And I think that it would be a great demo game to show off the power of the Quest, as Alex was just saying, in the hands of a talented developer who knows how to optimize. So yeah, if they don't give us this game cross-buy and I can catch it on a sale, sub $20, I'll probably will buy it, honestly. That's just me. Anyway, okay, so moving down the line here, almost to the end of the week's news that I chose to talk about anyway. The next one here is actually, we're going to give our impressions on a free experience that we all tried this past week. And Alex, I'll just go ahead and throw it to you, and you can tell us a little bit about this thing.
Oh, sorry. What game is that? Sorry.
Let's do
Oh,
the
sorry. Yeah, yeah. So this was just something I picked up. It came out free. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and we missed it for some reason. But it's a free kind of music experience where there's this new artist who's released three new. I think he's released a new album. This is three of the tracks from the album, and he's had someone make this sort of little VR experience. It's actually really cool. The music's kind of like an 80s synthwave type music. I don't know if you're familiar with that type of music, but you sat in this car and you're driving. Like the first one's like a convertible, so the roof's down, and you're driving along this coastline. It's very low poly, but they've got some really good lighting. Like they use real time lighting, so you can see like reflections and stuff, and it looks really nice actually, even though it's not really high poly assets. But yeah, you can see you're driving along a coast, you can see the sun coming down and cars coming past you, and you just got this cool music playing. The second one's my favorite, which is on the screen now, which is where you're in the rain at night and you're driving through like the reflections of the puddles on the floor and everything, and you drive through a tunnel, and as you come out the tunnel, there's a lightning in the sky, and you can see it all light the sky up, and the music moves to the like when the lightning pops, the music kind of pops with it and sort of thing, and then as you come out of the tunnel, the sun rises in front of you, and you can see the sun come out, and it goes to daytime and the fireworks light, and it was just really cool. It's like 10 minutes long. There's three different tracks you can listen to. The second one I actually listened to twice because I enjoyed it that much. And I recommend definitely checking this out. It's free. It's a really cool little experience.
Let me ask you this: do you know how to pronounce this artist's name?
No, Sheaf. Sheaf.
Is it Sheaf, or is it? Because I thought maybe it was Chef from like South Park, but then when I got into
anyway, it's SHEAF. So if you want to look this up, it's SHEAF EP. What's the rest of it?
Right there, it's on the screen.
Together. It's an
Together,
EP. It's an extended play single, and it's titled Together, and it's by Sheaf, not Chef.
So if you just put that into Steam, that'll come up. And like I say, it's worth 10 minutes of your time. Did you guys try it out?
Yeah. I went into it this morning and tried it. To be honest, when I got into the first one, I was like, I wasn't really digging it. I didn't really care for the music. The level was kind of plain, kind of bland, and I was just kind of like, what am I doing here? But when I got into the second track, it made a complete turnaround for me. I really, really enjoyed the second and the third track for that matter. But the second one, when you're going through that night cityscape and you look up at the buildings, it really reminded me of driving through downtown Cincinnati at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is something I've done probably 50 times in my life. and I really enjoyed it. The atmosphere that it gave, and for a free experience, I would recommend it overall. Really, my biggest takeaway coming out of the entire thing as a whole is that how cool would GTA VR be, even if it was crappy, low poly graphics? It would still be so cool, because that was what really the impression I got when I was riding in this car here, is that I really wanted to just ram another car, pull the driver out, steal it, turn around, do a U-turn, because a lot of this scenery reminds you of GTA 5. But yeah, overall an enjoyable experience, and definitely worth the 10 minutes that I put into it. What did you think about it, Ruuts?
I agree. It's definitely, first off, worth the price of admission. Considering it's free, there's no reason not to try it. But the second level blew me away. Like, I was like you, the first one, it was okay, but the second level, the lighting, the only thing that I didn't like about the second one, and it's not a knock against it, but I wanted windshield wipers. And I know why they did it, because like the water's falling, and it kind of created a sheen, and it gave you that, it actually made everything look a little bit more realistic, and more artistic. So I liked it, but part of me wanted that fucking windshield clean. But then I got it when we went in the tunnel. But what's funny is I went into it without any super sampling turned on, and then I said, oh shit, I forgot to turn it on, and it was night and day. So if you can super sample this, it's going to make it look that much better. But I think this is really cool, and whoever did it should be making more experiences or some games. Like you said, maybe even a GTA 5 type of game would be cool. No,
yeah, I think.
Oh, sorry. I just looking at this. Did you guys notice that? And it drove me crazy actually after I noticed it, because I went back into another experience. But when you're driving on this lane, you've got the yellow line next to you, but you have cars come up next to you, and I think, okay, they're going to go around me. That fucker just stayed on that side and went all the way down, and I thought, man, he's going to get in a head-on collision. So I don't know why it bothered me, but I was like, man, it shouldn't be this way. So.
Well, that didn't really stick out to me, but what stuck out to me is that there were double yellow lines there, right? But then on the other side of the median, there was another 2 lanes going the opposite direction. So if this was a 4-lane that's divided by a median, there shouldn't be a double yellow there. There should be, a dotted white line. So, and when I noticed this too, honestly, it dawned on me to ask you, Alex, did it feel weird being on the right side of the road, driving down the road?
No, it didn't really. I didn't really notice any of that stuff. Maybe because you're in that country, you know what the road markings should be. But I just enjoyed it. Yeah, and looking back now, I see what you're saying. I think they just used the same road for all of them, kind of thing, and they didn't change it up. But yeah, when you're going through that tunnel, there should be obviously 3 lanes effectively, and they've got it like 2 lanes with another lane coming towards you. But then there's another kind of bypass on the other side, which it doesn't really make sense. But I didn't really notice it until you've pointed it out, and now everyone who plays it will notice it as well. So.
It bothered me.
You're welcome, people.
You've just ruined it for everyone. So.
Just pay attention to the lighting, people. That's the strength of this title. Is the lighting is really super.
It is
super awesome.
Very talented.
Yeah, for sure. Some potential here with these developers, whoever made this. Anyway, one more item going down the line, and it's another one from Alex. He just played a game this past week, and he wanted to share his impressions of it with all of you good viewers out there. So, Alex, what did you play, and what did you think about it?
Yeah, we haven't really had anything come out this week. There's not really anything coming out next week from what we can see, which I know probably some people see as a negative, but for me it's been positive because it means I can finally pick some games that I've had like in my backlog and play them. And one of the games is the Solus Project. So I played this on the Rift a while ago, like a few months ago, and then when I just decided I was getting the Index, I figured, let's wait and play it because it's all open, like a big open area, so you obviously long view distances, and the higher res headset really makes a difference in this sort of environment. So I jumped back into it, and I spent a good couple of hours in there, And I just want to give people, this is a game that's a flat game that's got VR support. It's probably not the best implementation, like with the way you control things and pick things up. Like you've got a laser pointer effectively, so you have to point at something and then press the trigger and it suddenly appears in your hand. Uh, it's like a survival exploration story driven game, but you can turn the survival element off, thank God. So I went in, turned the difficulty down to 0. You still die with some of the other stuff, which I'll tell you about in a second, but you don't have to worry about drinking water every 10 minutes or eating food or lighting a fire because you're going to freeze to death or any of that sort of stuff. That sort of stuff just feels like it's filler to me and it gets in the way. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I just wanted to give you a little rundown of my first 2 hours because hopefully this will kind of sell you on the game. So you start off, you've basically crash landed on this alien planet, and the world's really beautiful. You've got this foliage all around, and everything looks really nice. And you're on this beach area, and as you walk around, you can see the sea, and in the distance there's like a planet that's rotating around your planet plus a moon. So you've got these big. The sense of scale is incredible. Like you can see this planet that's rotating, it's going around the horizon, and there's another moon that's rotating around, all slowly, but it just the sense of scale that this gives is just really good, and the crispness that you get as well. I recommend turning the anti-aliasing off because it makes things a lot more crisper. You get a little bit of shimmering, but it's worth it. You can see the planets there on the screen now. Imagine that in VR and just seeing that, it looks so good. And then you go through this cave, and it's literally pitch black. And I actually have a torch, so you've got this like you light. It teaches you in the tutorial how to light. Get some, like you've got it in your hand there. You've got some like wood, and you put it on your stick, and then you light it. So I'm walking through the cave, and it's pitch black, and I've got my hand out, and I can barely see what I'm doing, and I can see maybe a few feet in front of me, and I'm walking through it. It opens up sometimes, and it lights up a bit, and it's really beautiful. And then I go through this bit where there's this water area, so you're like wading through like waist high. And for some reason, I decided I was going to put my head in the water to see what was underneath. And as I did that, I put my hand underneath and put a torch out. So then I was in the pitch black. It even come up with a little achievement saying "dummy" because I'd put the torch out in the water. So then all I had was this fucking glow stick. So I'm walking through this glow stick. I could barely see like a foot in front of me. I'm going through, and then out of nowhere, there's a freaking weird noise, and this plant just like jumps up at me. I shit my pants. So then I'm on edge. I'm fucking walking through. I'm on complete edge. I can barely see what I'm doing. I'm trying to get out of this fucking tunnel, this cave, and I can hear screaming in the background, and it's just starting to turn into a fucking horror game for me. And I'm like, there's traps going off all over the place, and there's weird noises. And finally, I get out. And then it's like got waypoints and stuff. So I'm following the waypoints, getting this debris, and you go up to this communication tower, and like as you come out of the cave, it's raining and there's lightning everywhere, and the weather looks incredible. It's got like a proper day-night cycle. It's got proper weather that comes in. I think it's randomized, so it's not all the same, and the weather's really raining, and you've got like thunderstorms and stuff. And this is over a couple of hours, so I'm playing along, and then all of a sudden you've got this PDA thing, and it says something about weather anomaly or something, and I look in the sky, and the sky is lit up, and there's these meteors that are coming down directly towards me, and I shit myself, honest to God. It was just such an incredible moment, and there's meteors flying around, and they're crashing all around me. Luckily, they missed me, and then I'm playing a bit longer, and then all of a sudden the same thing happens, and it says there's a weather anomaly, and the most haunting music you could ever get starts playing. It's like an organ that's out of tune. It's like I can't even express to you how, and I'm shitting myself wondering what's going on. I turn around, there's a fucking tornado literally right there in front of me. I quickly run inside this house, like a not a house, like a hut area, and the tornado's coming past, and it literally rips right past next to me. It really shit me up. This game has turned into a bit of a horror game for me because the weather, the caves, the plants that are trying to eat you. And yeah, this tornado, it looks so good, it looks so real, and it comes ripping past you, and it flies off into the distance. And I kind of walked out, and I watched it disappear off, and then I decided to save the game and quit. But yeah, that was my first 2 hours of this game, just to try and give you an idea of how awesome this game is. It's just the environments, the atmosphere, everything's so well done. The graphics are really good. They're not like the best ever, but they're really high end. And it's just got something that many games haven't got. And apparently it's like 10, 12 hours long as well, just to play through the story and just to get through it. So this is a game that I just don't feel people talk about enough. And if you want like a not a double A, well, maybe like a double A production with long gameplay with something really meaty to get into, this is definitely one to pick up. Have any of you
Yeah,
played this? I don't know.
I haven't played it. Have you played it, Roots?
No, but I want to now. Like Alex said, his description, I'm like, my God, where has this game been my whole life? It sounds really cool, and just I love atmospheres where like things change, and like Alex said, the game tells you, hey, you know, the shit's about to hit the fan basically, and he looks up and meteors are coming. You got to scramble to get inside. I just think. Everything about this game sounds really cool, and I'm sure you guys saw. I was trying to find where I could download it. I need to find out which account it's on, because I'm gonna play it.
So it'll be on mine or Justin's. I've got it on. Oh no, in fact, I'm using Justin's. So if that's on Justin's,
Yeah, because I didn't see it on
account.
yours. But yeah, so I'm definitely gonna download it. I'm definitely gonna check it out. Now, is it like locomotion, or is it like how do you move around?
Yeah, it's free locomotion. My recommendation would be to turn um, world detail and distance down to medium, and then I ran the other things at high and turned the anti-aliasing off, and that was it basically. And everything looked great, and it played great. You know, it's reprojecting a bit. It's not like running at 90 all the time, but it was perfectly playable, and you just the world, just being in that world. And there's just the story is kind of interesting as well, because there is a story like I found a dead body and there's like notes everywhere, and it's kind of like Red Matter, where you point your little pointer at something and then it translates it onto your PDA so you can read what it says, and it does that a lot. So you would have field day with this, Wes, because you'd be clicking on everything and looking at it. But like there's these, you go through this uh like an ancient ruin underground, which is where you go through with this cave section, and there's all these stones with carvings in them, and you can translate them and stuff and read stuff, and it's really interesting, the world, and the graphics and everything are just really, you don't see many games like this in VR, and this is one that I don't think, the controls are a little bit, like I say, you have to take a little bit of getting used to, because you're not interacting with anything like in VR. You're having to point and click and stuff basically, but it's worth it just for being in the atmosphere and being in that, just explore. If you like exploration, story-driven exploration games, you want to play this. And like I say, you can turn the difficulty down. You still die from the weather, but you don't have to do all the drinking and stuff. So if you don't like that sort of stuff, you don't have to. But then you can turn it back up like 25%, 50%. So if you want to, because you can die from the cold and stuff as well, where you've got to like light fires and things. And I just didn't really want to have to mess about with that. I want to just enjoy the world and just explore and just see the story. So
Cool. Yeah, this is a game that I've been aware of for a while. It's actually pretty well regarded in the PSVR community, but I didn't even know that this was on PC until recently when I heard you start talking about it. So, uh, yeah, definitely looks like one to check out, for sure. And for those of you out there, I can't speak to the PC version of it, but if you have a PSVR and you want to try this game out, it goes on sale a lot for like $7, $8. It's not very expensive when it goes on sale, so keep an eye out for it and check it out when you get the opportunity.
yeah, highly recommend. Even just to, because it comes up cheap as well, like you're saying, just to go in that world, even if you just spent a couple of hours in it, just to experiencing the visuals and the weather and everything, it's worth it just for that. So.
Yeah, the weather's what everyone always goes on about, the adaptable weather. People are always very impressed by it. So looks cool for sure. All right, and I think that's going to wrap up our week in VR news, which, as usual, will bring us into our games review segment, where we each go around and pick a game that we're going to review in a separate video, either on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday this week. And we each go around, we say which game it is that we picked, and we talk a little bit about why we picked that game. First, before we get into that, let me start by saying we're only going to do 2 reviews this week. And the one that we're not going to do is Ruuts review. So let's just start with Ruuts. Ruuts, tell us which game you picked and why aren't we going to review it?
Yeah, why are we not going to do it? I picked Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, and we're not going to review it because of Alex's wheelchair joke. No, just kidding. But no, so I went to go back into this game, and I don't know, I'm still befuddled, but like I can't get audio in the game for the life of me. It doesn't matter what I do, what I'm using. Like I even started the game over, I reinstalled it. I thought, okay, maybe that'll help. And then I got more frustrated because the beginning of the game is literally saying, can you hear me? And I'm thinking, no, I can't fucking hear you. So I spent 2 hours trying to get it to work. And then I just decided I'm just not meant to play this game or for now or review it or something. And then we all decided that, it wasn't one that we really wanted to review anyway, because it's okay. I mean, I don't know. I guess we can talk a little bit about it since we're not reviewing it, but I don't know. I guess that's pointless too. So yeah, that's why we're not reviewing it, because I couldn't play it, and it's so
yeah. So Ruuts decided to pick Wolfenstein Cyberpilot this week. Had technical difficulties and couldn't play it. So we were then faced with the prospect of maybe doing a 2-man review of it, but to be honest, I hadn't played it through to the end yet when Ruuts bowed out, and I didn't really want to. So my opinion on this game hasn't changed from when we talked about it last week. It's okay. It's not a great game, but it's not a bad game either. I did go into it and played a little bit this morning. I did not experience the issues that Ruuts experience, so I don't know what kind of thing he's got going on there, but the game played fine for me on the same headset. Actually, it even played a little bit better than it did initially because I adjusted some settings and got rid of most of the jitter that I was experiencing initially. But still, just kind of a time waster, this game.
Did you go into any other missions then? Have you got any further?
I started the second mission with the drone thing and quit. I got bored with it.
Okay.
But Alex played it all the way through. So Alex, why don't you give us your thoughts on this game, having played all of it?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on an island really, because I don't want to say it's a great game or anything, but I just thought it was exactly what I expected it to be, and I actually had a good time in it. So I'd say my recommendation would be wait for a sale. I'd say it's probably not worth the asking price. Maybe pick it up at like a half-price sale or something. But I enjoyed it. I got it on a bit of a discount anyway on like a key site, so I didn't regret buying it. But there's 4 missions in total. The first one's this Panzer Hund, that dog machine thing where you've got flamethrower. Like I said before last week, you've got these controls which lets you. I actually really liked the way it controlled, like with the sticks, moving the hands around and everything, rather than using the joysticks. You can hit a button to fire an EMP. You can press and hold the button to like do a lunge. And I actually played through it again. The first mission on challenge, which I personally recommend doing, which is the hardest difficulty, because it does give a little bit of a challenge. It's still a bit too easy, really, but you do still have to think about things. And I ran a super sample, and I settled on about 170%, and it was playable at that. So that's my recommendation. Turn the dynamic resolution off, super sample as much as you can, really. And I think I turned everything to medium, and the game looked great for me. So the second level is a drone level. So you're flying this little drone around. I really like that level, actually. It's probably my favorite. You're a smaller drone, so the sense of scale is really good because like people look really big and like items look really big, and this has got really high-end graphics. It feels almost like photogrammetry in a way, where it's really kind of borderline photorealistic when you're inside and everything, and the lighting and everything looks good. And again, I like the controls. What I found with the index controllers, they've got like a really flat bottom, so I could just rest it on my my leg and kind of use it like an actual proper joystick, where I was moving it around left and right, just pivoting it on my leg. And so when you're flying this drone, you can go up, down, left, right, and then you use your I think you use your left stick just to go forward. And I just felt really good the way that I could just be very precise with it, just move through the levels. It's kind of like a stealth level where you've got like you can kill enemies, but you've got to be close because you're a drone. You're very vulnerable. So a couple of shots and you're dead. So you've got like a cloaking device, and you can stay hidden. And they just I enjoyed that level actually quite a bit. And the third level is where you're in this big mech. I can't remember what they call it. And you're very overpowered in that. Even on challenge, there's no real challenge in that. You just rinse through all these enemies. Just you've got like a machine gun in one arm, rocket launcher in the other arm, and then you can deploy a shield. And again, you can repair by putting your controller in like a docking station and holding the trigger down. So it was just you do have to kind of back off a little bit, but you could just deploy a shield while you repair, and then you're good to go. So like I said, it wasn't massively challenging, but you are in this mech and you're moving around, and again you can move your stick around to move around the environment, and then obviously you've got your arms which move with you, kind of like with Archangel kind of. And yeah, I like that. And then the last level combines them all, so you as you're going through, you get to a certain point, and then it'll switch you to the drone, and you have to do a bit of a drone section, then you have to go back to the Panzerhund, and then you have to go to the big mech, and then back to the drone again. And it's kind of cool. I enjoyed it. And then you finish up. In fact, I won't spoil it. There is a bit of a extra bit at the end, but there is a little story to it as well. And I had some people say that the story was kind of crap, but it was all right. I thought it was okay. It kept you going, and there's a bit of a reveal at the end, which I won't spoil again. Yeah, I think it's worth picking up.
And you see what that last thing you said there piqued my interest more than anything else you've said in this whole reveal. There's a twist at the end. Oh, now I got to get in and play it because I want to know what happens.
There's a twist. Yeah.
Yeah. So if any,
so that's what I love.
If anybody that's watching this in the comments, just throw out some ideas to how I could, because I kind of want to check it out too. Like, I just want to play. It bothers me that I can't play this fucking game, and that Alex paid good money for. So I want to try it, and so I don't know. There's got to be something I'm doing wrong. And everything else plays. Even the beginning menu played at the very beginning, where it has the red thing and it says push your button or whatever. There was noise there, but as soon as I went in, it was nothing. And it doesn't make logical sense. So
yeah, it doesn't. I've had this problem before, and like I've mentioned to you in Discord, if you disable your microphone, but it sounds like it's not that. I don't know. I mean, it could be a Steam VR issue. It could be. Have you been in other games in Steam VR?
Yeah, I played all sorts of other games. Played that experience after it. I played some Audica. Yeah. What's weird for me is, like, if I turn the game on and there's no sound at all from point A, that's okay. But it gives me noise for a couple of the menus and then goes out. It doesn't make sense logically. I don't know. So
yeah, something in your settings has changed in the config file or something probably, and it's trying to switch audio. I don't know, but it sounds like you're not going to be able to. I won't personally waste any more time on it.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend hours and hours trying to fix this just to play this game, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's something like that, you may want to try uninstalling, reinstalling the game.
I did that.
If so, you did that already. Okay, I'm dumbfounded. Then I don't know what to say. So
yeah,
it's just not meant to be.
Not. Oh.
All right. So anyway, we're just going to run with 2 reviews. That was the Virtual Strangers review discussion of Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. I think we're all pretty much on the same page here with it. It's good, not great, but it's not horrible either. Definitely doesn't deserve all the hate that it got upon release. And yeah, that's our stance. Anyway, so let's see, what do we have here? We have, let's start with Tuesday's review, or maybe Wednesday. Are we going to skip and do Tuesday, Wednesday, and skip Thursday?
No,
do you
just do Tuesday, Wednesday.
do Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah.
All right, so Tuesday, let's do your game, Alex. Alex, what did you choose to review?
Yeah, I picked a game that no one really talks about. It's actually a Servios game. So they've obviously released, I think this is a fourth game, but no one really talks about it. So I think it was a bit of a dud and they didn't really get many sales. But I actually had fun with it. So it's the game is Electronauts. It's a DJ simulator, effectively. You're stood on this platform and you've got all these different things you can hit, and it's all got this built-in stuff that keeps it in time, so you sound like you really know what you're doing when you don't. And I just had fun with it. I went through all the different tracks. Took me about 4 hours to go through all the tracks, and I thought it was fun. If you pick it up on a sale, I think you could possibly get a couple of hours out of it.
Cool. So yeah, we all did put some time into Electronauts. So tune in on Tuesday to hear what we each think about Electronauts from Servios. And that leaves Wednesday, my game. And the game I chose is Intruders Hide and Seek. This is a PlayStation VR exclusive. We were granted access to review this game from the developer quite some time ago. But as Alex doesn't have a PSVR, this will be a two-man review. Ruuts and I both finished it. And it's a story-driven stealth game, essentially. As I said, exclusively on PSVR. It's a game that interested me from the time it was released. I did request the review key for this one. So again, thanks to Sarah Studios for providing us with a review key. And yeah, this is just a game that has been in my backlog for a few months now that I wanted to try. And basically, I chose this game for the same reason that I choose the game every week, because I want to play it. Pretty much, I have limited time to play VR games these days, and if I want to play something, I need to pick it as a review. So that's why I chose this, because I wanted to play it. And spoiler alert, I'm glad I did. Anyway, that's going to wrap up our show for this week. First of all, I want to say a few things about the show and the programming here. Obviously, we've been doing these Sunday shows as a premiere on YouTube every week, and I just want to thank for the people that have been showing up and participating in that. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you guys as our episode premieres. So for those of you who have showed up, thank you, and for those of you who haven't showed up, come on, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Show up, talk to us. Show up and let's talk some VR games. 12:30 Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. Our Sunday show goes up. Monday, our weekly topical discussion always takes place on Monday. Alex, what are we talking about this week?
Well, last week we did Games of August, where we tried to tell you what was coming out, even though we didn't know much. So what we decided to do is we're going to do a recap of July. So we're going to go through what came out, when it came out, and probably pick a couple of our favorites for the month.
Yeah. So Sunday, the premiere of the weekly news show. Monday, our topical discussion this week. VR games of July. Someone made a comment recently that we didn't have much come out in July, and in true Virtual Strangers fashion, we beg to differ, friends. We're going to talk about that a little bit tomorrow, so be sure to turn in for that. So, of course, following that on Tuesday, we're going to review Alex's game, Electronauts. Wednesday, we're going to review my game, Intruders Hide and Seek. And on Thursday, we will hold a moment of silence for Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, as Ruuts didn't get a chance to play it despite wanting to review it.
You could have just played it silent.
I tried, and that's what's so funny. It's like I tried, and I was like, I can't. Like it because it did.
You just make the own
Well,
sound effects.
it did
as
have
you do it.
dialogue, so I could read the dialogue. But if I want to look anywhere, I'm missing shit. So I would keep looking down, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be reading that." And I'm not. I wasn't trying to play a deaf person simulator.
I'm joking. I would never play a game.
Well, if I was dedicated, I would have. But yeah, I agree. So.
All right. So on Thursday, we're going to have a moment of silence for Ruuts' game, as the game has had many moments of silence for Ruuts. Anyway, one more thing I wanted to say. My channel, the Lethal Weasel VR channel, where I post my gameplay footage, just reached 100 subscribers this last week.
Congratulations.
So,
Nice.
I want to thank those of you that have subscribed. I really do appreciate it. Jim Hall, number 100, thanks for subscribing, buddy. And for those of you who aren't aware of my channel, there's a link in the description down there. Pretty much everything you hear me talking about playing on this channel, 99% of that is on my channel, the footage of it. It is edited down, of course. I'm not going to show you every time I get killed by something, but we've been going at it since the start of the year. I've said since day one, you know, all of my videos on my channel are pre-recorded gameplay footage, but I have said since day one that whenever I got a small audience together, specifically 100 subscribers, that I would start running weekly live streams. So I'm planning on doing that, hopefully starting on this next Friday upcoming. I'm going to start doing a weekly live stream on the Lethal Weasel VR channel. Probably going to do some of those larger titles that are too intimidating for me to ever pick to play. Games like Skyrim, Fallout 4, Borderlands 2. These games that are so long that I never want to play them, I'm going to use this live stream as an excuse to start playing those games. So that's my plan. I'm going to start doing that on Fridays. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, there's a link in the description below. Click that link, click subscribe, and don't forget that bell so you can be notified when I'm getting ready to go live. So anyway, again, thank you to the 100 that have subscribed to my channel. I very much appreciate it. And stay tuned as my programming expands. All right, and with that, that's going to wrap up another week of the Virtual Strangers program. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see here, you know what to do. Click the thumbs up. If you didn't like what you see here, you also know what to do. I don't think we need to repeat it. But anyway, remember to like, subscribe, join our Discord. That's also linked down in the description. And we will see you tomorrow, friends. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
All right.